Yep. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters live from the Knitting War. I'm Deplorable Knitter. You can see my beautiful, lovely co host, Ann Pankova. And then we have Amy from Two Sisters and Some Yarns and Neil from Block Magazine. I was just going to be like, and Neil, that guy. We can't get rid of him. But
thanks for that.
And some duty found.
I'm not the beautiful person in the corner, am I? Unlike
I think that we're all too happy here.
I was about to say, Neil, what corner? The beautiful person in the corner. Like,
if I do that, beautiful. Do we? Yeah. Oh yeah, four corners. Oh yeah, that works.
That's that
yes,
math,
DK, so. We're too happy. Remember,
I mean, everybody needs to take it down several notches.
Yeah, we were late to begin with, but also we were
Serious
giggling
faces.
beforehand. So I don't know what we're gonna get today.
Yeah, I'm not.
Can we give a thought and just have a moment's silence for those who are traumatized by seeing smiling faces? No, I'm being serious, Amy. This
I know you are.
This is a really awful problem for people.
Do y'all have this?
Because the ability to see smiling faces means that you're unmasked.
In the UK, do y'all know what this means?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. And if your face is smiling and it's not masked, then that means that you are causing active harm to anybody who is disabled.
Yeah.
Just all of them. Doesn't matter what it is.
Like,
yes,
to clarify,
you're perpetual.
For the knitting wars. And for Neil, I got a special shirt, which I just got today. So I just wanted to show y'all that
brilliant.
Everything that you see forthcoming is allegedly.
Allegedly. We are just reporting on what we heard.
The shirt, but why the ostrich?
I don't know why the ostrich. I saw it on Etsy. I was buying somebody else's
Head in the sand,
allegedly.
maybe.
And I was like, I have to get it. I don't know if people think ostriches aren't real. Maybe it's part of the birds aren't real thing. I don't know.
Maybe that's the Great Ostrich War.
Yeah, aren't they all spying on us? Is that what they are? Birds are little computers that are just watching us all. Is that what?
I don't know. That was the new one I learned, that they're drones and they're watching us. So
same as insects.
Oh my god. I don't have time for this shit. Dude, if insects are drones, then how come we're supposed to eat them? Just out of curiosity.
I needed to hit my free shipping quantity. So it's on the shirt that said allegedly, and I said I have to get this and wear this on the Knitting Wars. So.
Okay, it's this. It's a Letterkenny show reference. I don't know what that is. So if you guys know, cool.
But okay,
Letterkenny,
cool.
never heard of it.
But thank you for telling us. Thank you. Allegedly.
I need a mug with allegedly on it.
So I am pop culture-y and I don't even know it? Or am I offending people if I were?
You are so cool and reference. I mean,
offensive? If I wear this to like Walmart, am I gonna like offend people?
I don't know. Liz, I hope that you're not having a bad day. She said she's under her weighted blanket drinking Xanax. I mean,
or is that just because you're smiling?
I don't. Oh, that could be. I just realized I took my ring off. Everything is fine in the Deplorable household. I was making chicken nuggets and my hands were in the yucky. It's out in the kitchen. I'm not gonna go get it.
That's my fat girl ring because I can't fit my wedding ring anymore. So
hey, I got one of them too.
Yeah.
Why don't you just put a tattoo on there instead?
Because I don't A, needles out, and B,
my husband doesn't like tattoos. I would get one. I'm not scared.
I don't like tattoos either. So but also,
I'm not scared of needles either. I got my blood drawn yesterday. It was super fun. I got to find out that the supervisor that haunted me while I worked there got fired, and I had a real moment of unfettered joy while I was giving blood. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, because what did I see you? When did you mention this? That you were a phlebotomist at one point?
Yeah, I worked as a phlebotomist. Yeah, many years ago, before kids, before husband, long.
Is it as boring as I imagine it is?
I worked blood drives, so we would like take all our stuff, set it up in a place, take the blood, break it down, go back. So it was a very busy thing. It wasn't just like you came into the office and I drew your blood. It was donations for blood. I worked for the Red Cross, so we were taking blood for blood transfusions.
And do you know like the rules of blood, like who can have which bits and who can't have? Because is it O negative can be anybody? Is that right?
O negative can give red cells to anybody, but they can only receive O negative red cells.
Ah.
Mhm.
So
And
which
AB
is the
plasma
best
is the
blood group?
Well, like if you're doing red cells, then I have the best blood group, as you should all know. I'm O negative, so there you go. I'm the best. But if you're going to give plasma, then actually you want to be AB because AB is the universal plasma donor. So
Ah.
That's
And does negative mean that you don't have the monkey gene in your blood? Is that what that means?
I don't know anything more about it.
all I know is I'm Rh negative, but I can't remember what blood type I am.
Yeah. All I know
I know
is
I'm
that,
O, but I don't know whether it's negative or positive. No idea.
thank God my husband was also a negative blood type, because if he hadn't been, I would have had to get these really heinous shots in my butt
That's
while I was
why-
pregnant.
Yeah,
And
so
so
we're the
thank
same
goodness
thing.
I didn't have to.
Is that for preeclampsia? Is
No,
that
that's
to
for the
stop-
Rh negative thing. So if you're
That's
if
so that
mom-
your body doesn't reject your baby.
right. So if mom is Rh negative, you have to take a shot when you're pregnant so your body doesn't reject it. And then after the baby's born, depending on the baby's blood type, you may or may not have to get another shot after baby's born, because they won't take your word for it that dad's blood type is dad, because you could be lying.
Ah.
Oh, I
That
never thought
dad's
about that.
dad. But I didn't need the one after birth, so that means whatever it is that we're. I
All
don't
you
know.
women lying over the fathers of your children, I don't
Because it has
know.
to do with his blood type
Dude.
too. I don't
That
really
never
know.
would have drawn on me, like ever. Like I never would have thought that would even be a reason for them not to believe me.
Yeah.
Because I just don't even.
I once
that
knew
way.
a guy who like was proper, like was a scientist, had a lab, and he thought it'd be really cool to do a side business where he'd do genetics for people, because he's like, yeah, it's really cool to like see your genetics on a chart.
Mhm.
Then you could do like a family tree of genetics so you could see where the sequences repeat. And he's like, that was not a good idea. This was not like, that was not a
Did
win.
we unravel some shadows that should have been contained
Yeah.
in the shadows?
Yeah, that's like, that was not as cool as, and there he was, you know, thinking very honestly, he's like,
Right.
oh, this was not a fun family gift.
How funny.
Oh my
I would
God.
worry now
Fantastic.
about receiving blood, though, you know, from people who've been, whatted.
Yeah.
But
I
you
would
Talk
be
about
worried.
that.
I know you can't donate when you've been recently jabbed.
Well, it depends.
Depends on the vaccine.
It
But-
depends on the vaccine. I don't know what the rules are around
Yeah, I don't know
that
for
one.
COVID. But all the rest
because,
of them, they
um,
make you wait. I know that.
When I
Why
worked
can't
there,
you give blood when you've got hay fever? Because that's the reason I've never given blood.
You
is 'cause I
can.
get hay fever really bad.
Hay
And they always say you're not allowed to give blood while you're suffering from hay fever.
never heard of it.
Oh.
That's not a thing here. Mm-mm.
No idea why that is then. Maybe unless it's the
No.
drugs that you take for hay fever,
It could be.
antihistamines.
Because paternity testing is part of labor and people are losing their minds. Wow. I don't know. I can't imagine not knowing. Anyway, I don't know about hay fever.
How did we get
And
onto
really-
this?
Blood type.
Oh, because you said needles and then I said I gave blood and then we went into the whole blood thing. Sorry, that was my bad.
I love how these weird conversations just happen.
Mhm.
We couldn't plan them, could we, if we tried?
No, certainly not.
Guys, we're gonna have a weirdo conversation about paternity later. Hope you're all ready.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man.
That's just how it rolls.
Yep.
That's just how we be.
We're all similar. We're all the people with like squirrel, and then your brain is off on another subject. And
Speaking of
at least
that,
we understand each other. Yes.
I started
What's
watching a
Gen Squirrel?
TV series yesterday called Gen V.
If you had segued a squirrel into that, that would have been fabulous.
Well, I
It
did
would've
watch a
been.
film called The Wolf the other night, and there's a guy in it who thinks he's a squirrel. So I could have got
well,
that
that's
into the
cool.
story.
Logic.
So what's
It's
Gen V?
weird as hell. Weird as hell. Oh yeah, so Gen V, it's like a spin-off of
V?
the Boys comic series.
Okay.
The what?
And I don't think it's part of the comic. It's just something that the TV people have done, and it's kind of like a bit of a school for super-powered people. But one of them, and it's related to what we've just been talking about. Her backstory is that when she started her period, she didn't realize she could control blood. And she ended up killing her entire family by shooting them with droplets of her period blood.
I remember hearing about this.
And the other thing,
Disturbing.
I mean, you've got to watch it just for this other scene.
I really
No.
don't, actually.
Oh, please, you've got to.
I'm
It
with
has the
Ann.
most
I don't have to do
amazing
anything.
No,
sex
here's
scene
the
I have
thing.
ever seen ever. And
Wait,
it's
how
about
did
this
she kill
girl
him
who can
again?
shrink. Huh?
How did she do it again?
What? How does she kill a family?
Yeah.
Well, she does it by accident. She starts a period, so she's all stressed, and
Okay.
she puts her hand down her pants because she knows something's happened, and she pulls her hand out, and there's blood.
Because that's what we all do when we start our
Yeah.
period.
I
And
was
then the
going to
next
say, I
thing
don't know
is-
anybody who's ever done that, but okay.
The mum walks into the bathroom, and she ends up
Again, who does
shooting
that?
her with blood. It kind of it just goes solid and shoots through the mum's head, and then she does the same to her dad, and then she kind of blows up in the.
But the blood in her doesn't turn solid and kill her from the inside out?
Presumably, it's only when it's outside of her body.
Of course.
And what she has to do all the way through the show, which I never understand with films, you know, when any of them have to show blood for any reason, they never just prick the end of their finger. They always have to slice down the middle of their palm, don't they? It's like the worst place you could possibly cut yourself because it's where all the tendons are. And every time she has to do anything, she has to slice a hand and then she fires blood out of her hand. But anyway, the best sex scene I have ever seen ever is this girl who can shrink to the size of this. And I'm not joking, it was hilarious.
Okay.
Because the guy
I'm
knows
really
who
glad
she
that went
is.
that direction.
We were talking about blood, and then you said, and then the best sex scene, and then I'm like, what
Yeah, in
happened?
the same
This
show.
wasn't
in
what
the
we
same
talked about. Oh my good gracious, people!
Well, let's just say the guy that she ends up with has got a fetish about tiny women
Of
who's this
course he
big.
does.
And she is
Well,
that big.
did he hit
and-
the jackpot? Because apparently the one woman.
I mean, the alternative is the lady that kills people with blood, so I guess he lucked out.
I mean, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of a small pool of women, so you're like, well.
So has nobody seen this? I hope I've not
No.
dreamt
Somebody
this.
in the
I hope
comments
it's
did.
real.
And then Adam said it's death by PMS.
That's what
And
I'm
then-
thinking.
Liz said
She threw a
she
shot.
threw a plot, and then this show needs more sex. I don't know. Okay, yeah. So that's what's happening. Okay, friends.
Okay, I'm also the person though that I'm like, okay, any gross bodily function,
Yeah.
we really don't need it.
No,
I
we
don't
don't
like radio ads that are like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, let me
Yeah.
tell you about.
Like, I remember when
Your colonoscopy,
TVs did
I'm
not
like, no.
have. Remember TVs did not have commercials about your periods.
Oh my
or
gosh.
men's
Every
difficulties in-
single
Is
YouTube
it-
ad. It is so gross. And I'm like, excuse me, no.
Or like the one, like there's the one about the condition that
The
Ben
crooked
had
thing?
with
Yeah,
the
the crooked one.
vegetables are crooked, and I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, the carrot. And
I
that's
did
the
not-
one that's always on during this like family show that we like to watch. And then it's like, oh, do you have a curvature? And I'm like, why are we talking
What?
about this?
A curvature in what?
Your carrot?
stuff.
What? You can't. What? Why? What? You have adverts about curved penises.
Yes, it's a
Yes!
condition.
What?
Because they're trying to sell the medicine.
What have you all got to
No,
have straight penises in America? Is it? Is there somebody with a ruler?
No, we have some seriously gross ads. And look, I am with Ireland on this one. No medical ads.
Yeah,
Get it off the
none,
TV. Just
None.
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 Nothing. Nope.
Period. No period.
Ask your
Zero.
doctor about this medication. No, you should not.
No,
You should
no.
not be advertising in between
Mhm.
Friends reruns. Just
Mhm.
stop.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. We're
So is this
watching
curvature thing a
Homestead
bit
Rescue.
like what I did to my finger?
Kinda.
It
I
have to have
mean,
like a
it's got-
splint on it.
It's got a name.
I don't remember the name.
I think it's called Peyronie's disease or something stupid.
Oh, it is. It is.
Imagine being
Google it, Neil. Go ahead, Google it.
I was just going to say what Adam's put in the comments. I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
So what you're telling me is that your socialized medicine does not care about
What drug?
that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have medicine for it and ad for it, then your socialized medicine just must not care enough.
So
I think they have laws against medical advertising. At least, like I said, I know they do in Ireland. I don't know about England. Or
They
well,
should
I
have
think
laws
if it
against
doesn't
it.
involve chopping penis balls and breasts off, I don't think they care in the NHS. If you want to get rid of your penis, I think they're all happy to do that for you. No problem at all.
I think you're right.
You know, roll up.
But seriously, we're just trying to watch this family rescue
Right.
homesteaders who are stupid, and my kids like the show because they're doing all different kinds of things. And then we got to watch, and because we're watching that on an app, like that's the only commercial that will play for 2.5 minutes. Like, kids, go get a snack. Like, go in your room. I'll call you when it's back on.
That's terrible. Oh my god! Yeah,
the only ads like that we get are for women with dry vaginas. That seems to be a huge problem here.
Yeah, we have those ads too. But do y'all not have any medical ads like for pharmaceutical stuff? Because like you'll have an ad for
I'm gonna die.
a skin cream to make your eyelashes grow stronger, and then the whole ad is just all the list of side effects, like vomiting. Your limb may fall off. Your eyes may go.
Yeah.
Oh, is it like in The
There may
Simpsons
be
where they do
anal
that deep
leakage.
voice?
There's
Anal leakage, but your
They cause
eyelashes
death.
will grow.
okay, so I was today, so I was listening to Pandora, which I haven't for a while, and I haven't since I stopped paying for it. So I get ads now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
every single ad was a dystopian nightmare. Like every single one. I'm sitting, I'm listening to whatever, oldies rock thing. And all of the ads were like, hey, at this healthcare system, we are the most beautiful and lovely place. Have you ever felt really awesome? It was because you had great healthcare. And I'm just like, this is creepy and I don't like it. And I especially don't like it because the hospital system in question builds their hospitals to look like churches. And I'm pretty sure that they just, I'm trying to remember what's the word. It was, I think they used the word ministry, actually. I was waiting for it to go over again about I was like, again, I may have misheard, but it sounded like medical ministry. And I'm like, you mean the word that can have both religious and government meanings?
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Well,
and then the next one,
it's not one of those. It's not one of those Christian health things where it's like a fill up and everybody
because at least if the Catholic Church, has a hospital, the faith is in God and not in the medical practice, which is weird. But the ads kept going. I mean, some of them were like food ads or whatever, but it was a mindfulness ad about, it was like a lending company with a Buddhist gong in it. I'm like, that's weird. But another one, it was an app for therapy, but it started out with, hey, so does your mind get in its own way? Like, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, sir, you've had too much to think. And I'm like, what is this? It's like, hey, have you ever thought that the whole thinking thing is the problem? You should not do that. And I'm like,
I heard that ad.
What kind of an ad? That is the creepiest crap. I feel like I'm in that one, the Doctor Who episode with the patches on your neck, the forget patch.
So Anne, you need to test your theory and you need to bounce it around and be like, what ads do they play on Kenny Loggins radio? What ads do they play on, Snoop Dogg radio? Let's see what kind of variety you get.
Oh, I couldn't stand a Snoop Dogg radio. This was the Guardians of the Galaxy channel, so
Because maybe you're playing like a demographic channel that.
I don't know. I do know that when I'm
Like
on
you're
Spotify, I'm old. When I go on Spotify, their ads are they assume that I live in Nebraska and that and they do a lot of like children's medical hospital ads, which are also very creepy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm like, why are you advertising this children's medical? If I had a child who was sick,
are you using a VPN or something?
I have no idea. I'm not actually, but they think I live in Nebraska, which I guess is fine.
Where's Nebraska compared to you?
South.
Okay. Thanks. I still need my geography lessons. So.
Well, that is weird.
So yeah.
That's weird.
That's
Anyway,
a thing.
yeah, I'm just sitting there being
We just
increasingly.
spent 20 minutes talking about that shit.
I mean, and
We're a
and we'll
knitting
probably-
show, by the way.
Yeah,
just in case
yeah.
anybody
I
doesn't know.
knit here, and Amy's crocheting, and that's okay.
I'm knitting.
I do have some
I'm gonna
knitting
probably
here.
take it all out, but
Crocheting.
we'll see.
This is my mindless crochet. Why is one of my guys calling me from work? I'll be right back.
Do you want to see my swastika?
Oh God.
Do you ask everyone that?
It's hang on, let me it's still attached. I don't like it because I'm really trying hard to loosen my tight knitting gauge. So I'm doing it with a 4.5mm needle, so it's like very see-through.
Wow.
So you can probably see my face from behind it, can't you? Because it's so see-through.
Can't actually.
No.
It's well, this is stash yarn that I'd never had a plan for, so I'm quite pleased. Although, this horrible clue 2, this bit, it is pissing me off. It is the most boring thing ever. What?
Hold it right up, Neil. Hold it up. I want to see it.
Oh, I'm big.
It's okay. So it's like a okay.
It's just
not really anything.
I don't know what
fancy.
you'd call it. It's just eyelets, isn't it? With a reverse stockinette welt type thing, and it is just boring. I want to get onto clue 3 because I like that one, but the rest of it's done my head in there.
I haven't.
And if
seen
you look at
Clue
the
3 yet.
back, I don't know whether you'll be able to see, but the amount of sodding ends. I mean, I don't know whether you can see them there on that side. I've weaved them all in, but I've had to leave a little bit of like a centimetre loose on each one. So it's never going to look good on the other side. That's the only problem with this,
Liz says nobody likes this shawl. I think that it would have been cool, but then
I'm only doing it because it's a swastika.
Allegedly.
And she also says that Tabitha's colors look so good, and there are no swastikas detected. I haven't seen hers in a while.
No, it's really nice, and also,
Tara's is very pretty too.
Tara's is good, and I've been sent two that one of them's going to be a cover. I don't know which one yet, and for the life of me, it's not Sean. I can't remember who it is. I've been sent to.
Shauna's been doing Shauna's Stitches is her channel, and she's been doing a knit along thing. I haven't seen her latest episode. Anyways, I didn't see Tara's though. With the her colors are very pretty. Too.
Sorry.
But she didn't weave in her ends yet, so she had the big mess of ends on the back to show off.
Oh, are we talking about ends? I got ends.
Oh yeah. You beat this for ends, don't you? Why are you not doing them as you go along? What the hell?
What?
Because
what are you making?
I'm making the Magnus cardigan. Lovely lady, terrible name. I'm sorry. Maybe it means something, and it means something.
I like that.
Family.
I think that's really cool.
Sorry. But so anyway, I'm making the cardigan.
Did this just come out?
It did just come out.
I was looking at it.
I really, really, really liked it, but I really, really, really didn't like the yarn she uses because she uses Scarfy Light, and when I touched it, it felt like I wanted to die. So I said, I am just going to use Hobby Lobby, racist, homophobic yarn, and gonna, just do that.
It's the only thing you can use. I mean, really.
So it's very simple, straightforward. It looks like it'll be gigantic, but since you're going back and forth.
Is that a single crochet, then a chain, and then you do your double crochets into it?
It's a paid pattern, but it's basically a box stitch. If anybody knows crochet, it's a box stitch. So since you go back and forth, your ends, I could weave them in, Neil, but why? Why would I do that? When I could have this.
Is this one piece? Or is this like the front and the back?
Yeah, right now it's one piece. So like this is the one side.
Okay. So at some point you're gonna put on a edging
this side.
Yeah, you'll be able to hide it then, won't you? You'll be able to just...
And when you do, and then this becomes the button band, which is supposed to be like this. So I don't see why you can't just crochet over them and snip. It's not as. I mean, I'm gonna tie my knots really good, and I know weaving into crochet is a lot more. It's not nearly as fun as knitting because you can't do the whole I think weaving into garter stitch is fun. I'm a weirdo, but now that Yolanda taught me.
Do you do the
Yolanda taught me how to do the thing. I'm like, this is kind of fun. But like,
I missed that.
If
Okay.
you're gonna add this, I think it's a button band here. I mean, I don't see why you can't,
Well, if the button band is as thick as the waistband, which it probably is, isn't it? It's going to be quite a you'll have plenty of room to hide that.
So, but it is a mess of ends at the moment, but it's going really fast. So
nice.
I like your colors. Really nice colors.
Yeah, I mean they're very bright, and I mean it's a lot brighter than this than it's showing up. But I do see why she used the yarn she used, because the one she used had, I mean it was acrylic, but it had much more of a fuzz to it, a lot of a halo. So I can see how this stitch would be more poofy and squishy and soft, and so if you actually would make it like, which God I wouldn't do mohair, but something squishier and fuzzier, because it's worsted weight, so I don't really know how you convert that. So
yeah, so I was thinking about making it, and now since I've talked to you, what I'm going to do if I decide to is I'm going to have 2 skeins of each color, and if the button band's going over it, I'm not going to cut them. I'm just going to carry them up the side and crochet over them.
Yeah, because you could do a button band.
You can't carry unless you're going to go the yarn on each.
If you're going up both sides.
Yeah, if you go up both sides, 2 skeins, like 2 on each side.
Like 4 skeins, yeah.
But I wasn't doing it.
But I really hate ends more than I hate how annoying that would be, I think.
Yeah.
I have to think about it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I think because especially when you crochet over at the end, it's much easier to hide, I think, crocheting over than knitting over, in my opinion. To me. And if you tie it tight, just cut those bad boys off. Who cares? I'm not one of those purists that's like, oh yes, you have to weave in every end.
Like Stephen West.
I mean,
I don't know that.
I make, I showed it in the last podcast. I made a pink and white granny square blanket in the round, and Denise couldn't find my ends anywhere.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I just wove a few in and tied them off and cut them. So
exactly. Count that as a win.
Interesting.
Speaking of a win, Anne, can I tell everybody what I made for your puritanical fun run?
I'm trying to remember now. Oh no.
I made a tube top for your puritanical fun run. I made a tube top.
Perfect.
I saw that. Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Like a tube top. So I thought that was ironic. That, for the Puritans.
It's perfect.
I made a tube top.
Is that for you?
Oh, God, no. Do you see how tiny it is?
I don't know. I can't tell. I'm asking.
It was fingering weight yarn held double in an extra small size for my
Liz
Liz
would like you to try it on.
This big. Yeah, it would have fit my arm.
Does it cover the Basset Hound's ears?
I don't think it would have fit my head.
That's because of that video that I shared in our forum, where it was Amy and Tabitha were running through the forest wearing a ghost outfit with Stephen West nip slips. TK's got no idea.
You missed some stuff, TK.
Guys,
okay.
I have just barely been treading water over here, so I'm sorry. I have missed whatever that is.
Okay.
Down for inappropriate humor.
Speaking of missing some stuff, we should probably talk about Woolen Folk at some point, because this is a knitting channel, and that is big knitting news.
Can I pimp my murder mystery mail first?
Absolutely, do that first.
All right. So these hooligans and Neil are going to help participate.
Why are we the hooligans and he is not?
Because he's just and Neil.
Well, I'm fancy schmancy, aren't I? I'm English and British.
Because he's like the afterthought. That's why it's a joke.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
Wow. I feel like there's a little sexism in the group chat today, and I feel like that needs to be addressed.
Like
just Ken.
Okay. Sorry. Allegedly. So I am going to host a whodunit murder mystery make-along, in which my sister will just do what I say. And it will be a murder mystery that I am writing in the moment. And basically what it's going to be is I'm going to release the parts of the story, and for a month-ish, depending on how much more murder I do. And because it's a lot of words. It's a lot of words already. So I might have to murder some more people. I don't know. So,
well, Joe wanted you to murder me.
I haven't segued you in there yet.
Well, what was it? She called me Rosie
Oh, is it
or
about
something?
real
The character
people?
Rosie.
Well, I'm taking some real inspirations from real life as some of the characters.
Okay.
So I have some beta readers, and they are liking it so far. So basically, the deal is going to be the story is going to come out, and it's going to be released in parts, and podcasters such as ourselves will release a clue, and Neil will put something in the January issue or the December issue. I forgot what we decided.
Well, that's up to you.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, whichever one. Yeah,
because it's going to start in January, and the make along part is make whatever you want with whatever you want. But there will be a special yarn by Holly of Mystery Mouse Yarns, and Liz Clothier has made a pattern. So obviously you get extra points for a little more effort in the murder mysteryness of it. But you can make whatever you want. You can knit, crochet, sew, whatever. I don't care. So we'll release, and I'll email you're going to require effort on people's parts. There will be adequate parking and wheelchair ramps in the murder mystery, yes. And everyone will have to email me or fill out the Google form. It'll be a Google form. You're not really going to email me, but you're going to fill out the Google form with your guesses every week, with the clues you will get.
Okay, sorry. I will stop interrupting you.
From these lovely podcasters, and I will not reveal the final thing. And everybody has to use the honor system that if you've read ahead to the end, you're not going to ruin it for other people and be that guy. And then everybody that participates, and I have your info on the Google form thingies. Then everybody gets entered into some prizes, and we're going to have some cool prizes. And of course, Instagram and stuff, but I know not everybody does Instagram, so that's fine. I'll pick the winners from the participants. So you have to actually read and try.
Right.
You don't have to finish anything. You don't have to, make the same thing. Just play the game.
Still got to play along.
So, and it is it's campy. I'm trying to make
It's been solved already. Liz has solved.
Great, because I haven't found the murderer yet. So somebody needs to tell me the solve part, because I haven't decided who's dead and who's alive. I'm trying to make it accurate and interesting, but also cheesy as hell. So
Perfect.
Sounds
like
fun.
Agatha Christie, murder mystery Clue or Cluedo kind of thing.
You do realize you're setting yourself up for a task every year now, don't you? It's going to have to be an annual event, this.
And I'm 99% sure Tabitha's doing her Winter of Murder, but I could be speaking wrong for her. But I know you said January is murdery, right, for the magazine?
Oh, yes. Murder Mystery. That's in honor of your...
Thank you. So maybe some more people will... I just thought it'd be something fun for after the holidays. After you celebrate baby Jesus, let's murder some people.
The doldrums
like
in January. Kill Antsy, it's frozen. It's times. They had it coming.
But I have workshopped the story and gotten various people's suggestions and feedbacks, so they will see their little contributions.
I've only read the very first bit that you did. I've not read it.
I've edited all the way through part 3.
Wow.
So
I don't know whether to read it or not. I don't know whether I should, because and
the podcasters who give clues may or may not have read the story. So just because they give a clue doesn't mean they're going to actually know the story. So you can't be buttering them up trying to find out hints. But if you want
I
to
know
try,
nothing, so
I'm sure.
I haven't read any. I want to be surprised.
I'm sure Anna DK and Neil will take presents.
What?
Like to butter you up to try to get the clue.
Feel free to send them. We just won't be able to give you any answers. That's the thing.
Like, we are very bribable. We do not have good information.
Yeah.
So it's I'm hoping,
maybe you need to throw some red herrings in.
Well, I am throwing some red herrings in, but I'm hoping that it's mysterious enough that people don't solve it by like the second part.
Yeah, that'd be a real downer.
Well,
wouldn't
if
it?
you
That'd be-
don't know who it is yet, then it
Well,
would
I
be
have
hard
a
to solve
basic
it.
idea, but
Hmm.
you know, it is set in New Orleans. I will tell you that it is set in New Orleans.
Obviously.
So I have
I
fact
mean-
checked all the things to make sure it's accurate with what things I'm saying. So
Is it the jazz killer from the 30s?
who's the jazz killer from the 30s?
Wasn't it the
I-
30s where the serial killer was going around and he said if there was a house in New Orleans
Yeah.
that wasn't playing jazz, then they were
Yep.
going to be murdered. And that
Well,
night,
now I
everybody
gotta
played
go research
jazz.
that.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. I've heard about it
No.
a couple different times on a few different podcasts.
No.
Wow,
Yeah.
we know something more than
know.
Amy does. Wow.
Dang.
Cool.
I've never heard of this either.
Can someone record this? This
Holly
is a
says.
first.
I'm excited to see the yarn, Holly. This is gonna be awesome.
I know.
And Liz made her pattern. It's called the Rosie shawl.
Cool.
Ah,
One of the characters is
all the
named
characters.
Rosie.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Oh, speaking of.
So now you can wrap. I'm done.
Oh, that's fine. No, I was going to say, I have a note here. Even though Knitting Wars is not officially sponsored by Chicken Lady, do sign up for her newsletter because the free shipping code is going to come around very soon.
I did see that. I got that email.
Do that.
5 Mondays in the month. So
Is that America only?
Probably. I don't know.
probably.
Oh, and
don't
Anna Knitter, that she is running a sale on her Opal yarns. It's
I
like
saw
going.
that.
It's like up to 50% off.
On the
and-
Van
did I
Gogh.
miss
things are
that?
50%
Van
off.
Gogh. Well, it was on her newsletter. Sign up for everyone's newsletter.
Oh.
So,
I thought
you
I
know,
did.
big Opal yarn sale. Holly just had a sale
Ah.
for her birthday. That's probably not going on yet, but her stuff is fantastic. You all know that. But anyways,
Mhm.
buy
Well,
yarn.
since we're talking about yarn, can I shill for myself for a second?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's your
it is
show.
my show.
It's your show. About yarn.
Can I talk about my thing?
So I'm excited because for my patrons for November, December, I paired with Revolution Yarn and we're doing a little like advent calendar thing. But because of the nature of these kits, I have a few extra to sell and they're available in my Galilee Life shop. And they're going to be, it's a full skein, 7 20-ounce mini skeins, and they're going to come packaged up like
I
teeny
saw
tiny
that. That was
presents.
so cute.
And then there's these other little things in here
Stupid
are this
life
big,
expenses.
that are little tiny presents, and it's going to be fun. And there's a few of them left, so if anybody's interested, I was kind of thinking, because they don't ship until December, you know, you could kind of hold on to it and start a New Year's knit if you felt like it, like, because it's not huge, it's not a ton of days, but by the time it ships and you get it, you'll be busy with Christmas, so it might be fun to like do a little present thing, open up your
That's a
little
good
gifts, and you know, so I got some of those in my Galilee Life store if you guys are interested.
Cool.
Just so y'all know, because it's fun, and she's making 7 beautiful jewel tones and a fabulous neutral for me, and it's going to be really pretty.
And that's
I hope.
Revolution Yarn, is that?
Yeah, Melanie from Revolution Yarn in Canada.
Ah.
Stupid life
So.
expenses like kids.
I
and
know, right? I know.
car
I
insurance.
thought you were going to make a joke about her health care there, talking about life
Well, I don't
expenses.
pay for health care, so I'm not sorry about that. But
Well,
Yeah.
Canadian health care, you know.
So
You know, it's one of life's cruel and yet hilarious jokes.
I
that we've
actually
gone-
pay for real private health care. So
Whoa. Well, but that, you know, the joke online for years have always been like, oh, Americans have your freedom, but Canada, we have our free healthcare. Isn't that great? And now when you hear about somebody being Canadian healthcared,
can I interest you in death?
Yes. Have you-
oh, you're sad? Well, I have a solution.
You don't need a knee replacement. Just
Addicted
jump on the
to
balcony.
Drop dead. Like,
Oh, it's so, that is scarily accurate, though. That isn't it? It's funny, but it's real. That's the
Hmm.
awful thing.
For real.
Yep.
God, do you remember when Futurama first came out and there were suicide booths? It's like
Yeah.
Hmm.
again
That
they
was a long
predicted
time
the
ago.
future. Yeah, was it the year 2000 or something like that? Was it?
also word of
Maybe.
good luck.
Detroit.
Patrice.
Oof.
Kiss your hand to RoboCop for us. So
Oh, that's Detroit, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, you're brave going to Detroit. Isn't that like the land of
Good luck and
like
Godspeed.
Wild West
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah, that's like me going to New Orleans. That's
Oh,
scary.
Wild West was nice.
Yeah, compared to it. Yeah.
Here, this is a wonderful. You can't kick the meth habit. Canada can help you kick the bucket. So there you go. Everything's all set.
See, perfect.
Adam's in Canada, isn't he? So does he get
Yeah.
this free suicide care?
I think so. I think if he chooses, or maybe even if he doesn't, it's hard to say.
Do we need to?
So,
Yeah, I
we
don't
need
know
to
if
let
you
them
have
know
to
he's there.
use it anymore.
he may
They
have
just
left
show
the
up.
chat, but good luck and Godspeed, Adam.
They show up, be like, hey, can
Yeah.
I interest you in this euthanasia?
South of the border, you have Detroit. You could just be killed by some random meth head.
Well, I'm expecting the NHS to start offering it soon because we have, socialist healthcare too, but they're not quite. They're just killing us in a different way by not treating us. They're just leaving us to die, basically.
Yeah, you're right.
Somebody the other day, 20 hours they had to wait for
Oh my
an ambulance to go to A&E,
Gosh.
which is unbelievable. My friend, she had to go for a brain scan because they thought she'd had a bleed on the brain. So quite a serious thing. She hadn't in the end, thankfully.
And
She
also
had to
think
wait
something you should
18
expedite.
hours. They kept her waiting for 18 hours before
18 hours.
the whole night she sat there. And apparently there was a woman in a wheelchair, an old woman, who was really distressed. And my friend Carol went to see if she was all right. Basically, she's ill, waiting to have a brain scan, bleed on the brain potential, and she's having to help this old woman in the chair. And she went to the desk to see the woman and said, you're going to have to get a doctor to see this woman. And she said, are you a relative? So she said, well, no, I'm a patient waiting. So she went, oh, well, it has to be a relative. So basically, no one would treat this woman. She was just left there in a chair.
Oh my God.
And so there was obviously, dementia as well with this woman.
Right,
there was a lot of issues. But this is the state of our healthcare.
Yeah,
at the
but
moment.
also so it's like, okay, yeah, we're related now. Haha, we're cousins.
Right.
Would they
Right.
have done anything more than
Right.
say, well, what are you to say?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
I
it's
identify
awful.
as her cousin. I mean, I don't know.
Right?
Exactly.
I mean,
I'm her
why not?
grandniece. And
What she should have said is, I think she's having a crisis of her gender, and I believe she needs her breast cut off.
The poor dementia
What's it
woman,
called? A
though, wouldn't know what's
phalloplasty.
going on.
She needs a phalloplasty immediately.
Gets her in the door, Desperate times call for desperate measure.
Yeah.
Speaking of phalloplasties and trans things.
Oh,
have
yeah.
you,
Speaking of them.
We're full circle there. You
we
see
haven't spoken about these subjects enough.
circle.
have you seen Stranded Dye Works recently? Oh, I had to
really.
share. She somebody contacted. So Stranded Dye Works is ex Amy Florence, who is now Jude, whatever.
Oh,
I don't
yes,
know what
yes.
I don't know what the last name is.
Oh, that
So-
person who got so mad.
Oh, over the
I couldn't
question
figure out why
someone
they were
asked.
mad. I didn't,
Yeah, so
I didn't know who
basically,
they were. Okay.
he, whatever, has made a really big thing about transitioning. She also, I'm going to say she, because she's a fucking woman, I'm sorry. She did a fundraiser to get money so she could have her boobs chopped off, knowing that that in the NHS in the UK, it's free. You don't have to pay for that kind of surgery. You just have to go on the waiting list, which I think is 2 years. But because you get that operation in 2 years. Any other operation, you have to wait 5 to 10 years. But because she wouldn't wait, she raised money. So all the Americans paid for her to have a
So
boob
if you
job.
pay, you could go faster.
You can go private. You can go to a private hospital where you'd get seen in a week. It'd all be done and dusted in a week. A bit more like what your healthcare is probably like,
okay.
So anyway, so she's had that done. And so now she has told everybody everything about her transition, how now her hips are too big because obviously she's had her boobs removed. So obviously there's no balance there anymore. And some woman sent her a really polite message saying, saying something like, I'm going to get the details of this wrong, but are there any concerns? What about long-term health, effects of this? So what did Jude, Amy, whatever do? Rather than just answering the question, she had to do a whole video about how not to do this. If you want to be an ally to trans people, don't ask questions like this. Do your own homework. It's like, no, if you're telling people all the ins and outs of your bloody thing, people are going to ask.
The poster trans person, then isn't that, doesn't that mean, hey, everybody, I'm going to tell you absolutely everything about my medical life. everything.
Good and bad.
Well, what she did, this
And then when
person,
you
she
say, hey, are you okay?
she mentioned detransition, as you see, and that is it's like showing a vampire a crucifix, you know.
Yeah.
It's like so that's why she went crazy about it. But you could see how angry she was, and I thought, well, that'll be the testosterone. You're going to be getting angrier now.
I could not figure out why she was so mad at that person.
Yeah,
if you go around talking about it, if I went around and told you guys every single thing in my personal health life that I'm dealing with, and then you asked me a question like, hey, are you doing okay with this? Are you concerned about this? And I got angry at you, that would be like the most asinine thing that could happen. Because here I am telling you everything, but then you show some concern and I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you that. So now.
And also, it's a contentious issue, isn't it? So if I was having an operation that was a contentious issue, I don't know, like we were saying, you know, having my penis straightened or whatever it is you do to have that done, you know, people might say, well, why are you having that done, Neil?
Never, ever, not once. Do I want anyone, not just you, Neil, to tell me?
Nobody. Yeah.
Not a soul. Keep
no
that
one else.
to yourself. Bring back shame. That's what I say.
Yes.
Oh, Janice in the comments has said it's like if one of us, if you snapped at us for asking a knitting question. Yeah, it's exactly
that would be true too.
Thing. Yeah.
So now that so Jude's being a nut job, but I mean anybody who goes around and does that to themselves.
Somebody said as well, I don't know whether it was Tara. Apparently, Jude is the patron saint of lost causes, which made me laugh when I realised because I thought, well, that's apt.
That makes sense. That because of St. Jude Hospital.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh, so are you doomed if you go to St. Jude's Hospital?
No.
That's
the hospital for children with cancer, and you can go whether you have insurance or don't have insurance at all, and they fundraise.
The parents don't pay for anything.
The parents don't pay for anything.
The commercials make me cry every time they come on.
So it's a bit like the NHS.
No, but it's like truly privately funded. Like an actor started it like way back.
They have ads on it for so much a month. You can like this poor child with cancer and the mom's crying that they had no help, and then you're like, yeah, the kid, I gotta buy this t-shirt.
Right. It's like
I did a knitting thing.
It's like
I did a knitting thing for him.
And the parents don't pay anything, but that would make sense I never even thought of why it was called St. Jude.
I didn't either. That's sad.
If that's the patron saint of lost causes.
Yet again, the atheist has taught you something about religion.
Which technically Tara did.
Well,
all right.
But we're also not Catholic or Orthodox.
Yeah,
so we don't do saints in my religion.
Least Catholic of all of us, including you, Neil. So.
That is true.
Literally,
something quite funny.
Literally, you're more Catholic than me.
Well, yeah, I suppose I am, aren't I?
Literally.
Kind of. Yeah.
Sorry, Neil, you are.
Well, yeah, I've tried to get my name taken off that book. Apparently, we're all in a book somewhere in the Vatican.
Like, Team Israel. Okay.
Seriously, we are. Apparently, every Catholic is listed in some book somewhere.
Well, good luck and Godspeed.
Yeah, you can't get your name off it, I'm afraid. Once you're on it, you're on it.
That sounds like an MLM waiting contact list. Like once you're on this list. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My brother.
You're not an MLM. Sorry. I'm sorry.
My brother was telling me something about his job, and if he does something, he gets this much money, and the guy that referred gets this much money. I'm like, it sounds like you're working in a pyramid scheme. He goes, well, it's for the government, so it kind of is. So...
There we go. Some real facts.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
I assume real facts, actually.
I would hope, yes.
Yeah, you took a big leap there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, Shelley seems trustworthy, but I don't know. It could be wrong. So,
which now his daughter Marlo Thomas is the spokesperson.
Oh Jesus! Have you seen what Murdenitz has put? Oh, gold.
What?
What? That's the worst thing that could happen to you, Neil. You gotta say it like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I'd have to do Jesus-y things I don't know, like you lot do.
See y'all later.
Like Faye.
I don't know what Jesus-y things. I've never done any of the cool stuff.
Whatever you do
If I
on a
could
Sunday.
turn water into wine,
start
I would
with
be
that
set. See, Amy and I are so on the same page. Also, walking on the water would be all right too.
That
I
would be
mean,
pretty cool.
you could get places faster.
That'd be pretty cool.
So,
Tabitha was being quite nice on Sunday about something. We were having a chat, and I just thought, this is because you've been Jesusing today, isn't it?
wow.
Can't
Are
believe
you
people
implying
are
that
nice
she's
to
not
you.
nice on
It's
other
the
days?
worst.
She's not nice on other days. Do you know her? No, I'm joking, Tabitha. I'm joking.
Tabitha, feel
said
free to
that.
defend yourself from
As
this.
Tabitha says, she loves Jesus. She just cusses a little. All right,
Okay.
so somebody wanted to talk about woolen folk.
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
we
talk
should
about
probably.
woolen folk, you woolen folk experts, Neil, who have been posting everything all day.
Me? I'm not an expert.
Neil.
No.
I know very little.
Okay,
so-
I got a
Oh.
question though.
Okay.
Before we get into it. When somebody is a sponsor of something, what does that entail? Like Chicken Lady sponsors
Well.
us. She gives us yarn and money and we talk about her. Like that's how I see this thing
Correct.
working, right?
That's supposedly how it would work. So a
Yeah.
sponsor, you know, but I think in the knitting world, it also can work where someone is just giving, you know, that, just advertising for them. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I think it
You
depends
get
on,
something. You're sponsoring something. Both parties get something in return.
they're supposed to, aren't they?
You know,
Yeah.
the person paying the sponsorship should get talked about and or sales or some kind of what's that word?
Reciprocation,
Thank you.
reciprocal. Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. Now I have another question.
Okay.
If you were a sponsor of something and they said, hey, we want you to go entertain the people over at Podcasters Row and you're not getting paid for it, would you be mad?
Wait, so you are sponsoring some? You are.
You're sponsoring.
So
Wait, who's getting paid?
we sponsored the Anne's Shark Week, didn't we?
Yes, we gave.
So
her gifts and
we
stuff.
helped out with prizes and
Right,
with
and
stickers
shipping
and all
and
that
stuff.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So if you'd have then said, will you speak at something about Shark Week, I probably would have.
Right.
I don't
So
think I'd
if
have
you
had a
had
problem with it.
paid, if you had paid to be a sponsor of Woolen Folk and they said, hey, we need you on Podcaster Row, would you expect to get paid for that? Or would you go to Podcaster Row
know.
to talk?
I'm not sure.
I would not.
I'm
be
stupid.
able-
I'd probably just do it for free because I'm like
I
that.
would do it for free. That's
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
Well,
Unless there was like already like a level of, hey, we're paying people to speak. Oh, by the way,
Right.
Yeah.
then I'd
Yeah.
be
If
like,
I found out Tabitha was getting, you know, $100,000 for speaking and I wasn't, I'd want some of that.
ooh, she's been getting
Yeah.
those Hillary Clinton checks.
right.
Talk about
right.
diarrhea in Africa.
But if
Tabitha-
somebody's getting
sorry.
paid for to be the entertainment, then that person would not also be a sponsor of the event. In my head, those are two.
Well,
different
it should be a
functions.
separate thing, shouldn't it? Like,
Those are two different functions. The
yeah, because
sponsor
that guy
of
was
any-
the MC, wasn't he? What was he called? The Brooklyn, is it Brooklyn Boy Knits or
Right.
whatever it's called?
Oh, I read
Yeah.
this.
Brooklyn guy knits or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
to
So
start with, we should talk about what Woolen Folk is. Catch the people at home who.
Well,
Well,
I
let me
just
just
wanted
clarify-
to talk about what a sponsor is
Let me
because I
clarify this.
saw something today.
every year, my company participates in a golf charity tournament, and we sponsor holes and we pay for a team because all the money goes to charity. And in reciprocation of that, there's a nifty little sign that says our company name, so that if people are, looking for our services, here's the list of all the people who have sponsored this tournament. Now it all goes to charity, so it's a little different, and we are a sponsor of the charity event, and what we get in return is a day of golf. Well, I don't,
Mhm.
but my boss gets a day of golf
Right.
and our name and recognition in conjunction with this event, which then subsequently goes through the community as a good thing and it's good word of mouth.
Mhm.
That's what I interpret sponsorship to be. The vendors who may pay to be there to provide food and or drink, they probably paid to be there.
Right.
That makes
Because-
sense.
They're getting their name out and stuff. So I don't know if that's my clarification of a sponsored event.
Okay.
And the vendors paid a lot, didn't they, to go to this
That's how
particular
I
one?
interpret.
Right,
Yeah.
unless of course, sorry, for the golf event example, I would say it's possible that the event itself would pay the vendors if they were providing free food, which I don't
Maybe
think.
so. Yeah. I mean, but you kind of, yeah. I mean, everybody is paying towards a thing, and the whole point of the thing is that A, we support the charity, and B, everybody gets their name and recognition out there, and you build relationship in the community, which I would kind of presume what some of these things are about. If you're going to go to Podcaster Hill, isn't the point of that to be like, hey, here's the people who watch your YouTube podcast who thus generate revenue for you via the ads and subscriptions and Patreons and all the other things. So, hey, here's a way to give back to them. Talk to the little people.
Well, also, I mean, it's good. It draws people to your event too, if they know that people that they see online will be there. And
Tabitha was speculating that Lola Bean Yarn Company got paid to be there, and they did not. I actually listened to a 45-minute rant about how they paid $2,500 to sponsor the event, and then how offended they were that they were asked to go to Podcaster Row for free, and how mad they were that they had to pay for travel and this and that, and then the event was not well done.
Did the other people on Podcaster Row not also have to pay similar costs? Would be my question.
I don't know.
Well, knowing Adela, knowing how she blew up over Christy Glass asking for money, you know,
she's
when
not a podcaster anyway, right?
Adela, well, she claims she is now because they've done 3 shows, haven't they?
Yeah, they have like a YouTube channel with like barely
they
any
bought all the
following.
fancy equipment.
But you know, whatever.
Yeah, if that had been a white woman,
to see you, but that would be like inexpensive to get there. Mostly, if that then showed up at your house, you'd be like, "Give me $50."
I mean, in my head, a podcaster, that's somebody that like legitimately makes a decent income podcasting. You know, I mean, I watch
somebody eating crisps.
He's eating something. I watch some anti-MLM content creators who I would love to meet one day. It'd be fabulous. They're lovely people. I pay their Patreon or their YouTube membership. You know, I'm a Patreon of Neil's. So if I go to an event that podcasters are advertised at, I would not presume the podcasters got paid. Yeah. Because the point is to encourage everybody to keep paying for you to keep making.
Yeah, if you've got a product as well. Lola Bean has a product. She wants to sell her yarn, doesn't she? So her just appearing is her advertising her product as well, isn't it?
Right.
And if people want to see her, and again, it is kind of weird though. I mean, I know that she is a presence, but it is weird. It's like, okay, so she's been invited to Podcaster Row when she's not really a podcaster. She's known on Instagram, which, you know, good for her for being known on Instagram. But
is it always
would all be a yarn advertisement? Like, should she have a booth and people come and meet her at her booth? That would make sense if she's a yarn dyer.
Yeah, because she didn't, did she? She only had yarn at Magpies, didn't she? They were selling her yarn.
Booth,
so she didn't have a booth.
And she wholesaled to Magpies, so she lost money all the way around at this event.
Yeah, don't forget, Adela is the victim of this. She is the true victim, remember?
Okay, the whole Adela's whole statement. Again, sorry, we need to start at the beginning. Come on, people, get to the
yeah, we always do this. Dive in the middle.
Happens to be a big yarn festival the same weekend as Rhinebeck. I don't believe it's been the same weekend in the past, but this year that's how it happened to be.
This is the third.
I thought Rhinebeck was this. This wasn't Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is different.
Oh,
I learned that. It's 2 different.
Rhinebeck is a well-oiled machine. In comparison.
Yeah, didn't they start this because Rhinebeck had a sort of archaic system in place where you had to literally die before you could get a place vended. So this Felicia created Folk as a bit of a side thing.
Although I heard some tea about Rhinebeck, but I'm not at liberty to spill it just yet.
Oh, interesting. I apologize for the crinkly noises. I forgot I wasn't muted, and one of my kids immediately asked me if they could have a granola bar the minute they saw me. So I apologize. That's what happens in this house.
Yeah,
oh, you're
somebody's
here.
Somebody's going to complain in the comments. You watch. They will.
I had to go get another one of these.
You had to pause to feed your child? Excuse me.
Oh, no. I didn't pause to go feed my children. I paused to go get another glass of wine, and then everybody started talking to me. There's a big difference.
Okay, so yes, I learned
Duh.
this last night, DK. It
Okay.
is 2 separate events.
I thought they were the same.
I did too. So
Right.
carry
But
on.
also, Rhinebeck, their archaic system where someone has to die to get in. It's okay. Again, haven't been to Rhinebeck, don't have a lot of opinion. But if you have it planned out so you only have so many spaces and you're like, yeah, it's difficult to get in, well, then you can't shove everybody together and have these difficulties. Remember that for later.
Correct.
Anyways, sorry, continue, Amy.
So the weather was atrocious to begin with, right? So Rhinebeck, clarify this for me, is outside as well?
Parts are, aren't they?
I believe
Parts of both are outside, parts are inside.
So my understanding, limited understanding, and Neil, you could please clarify this, is that apparently the organizers oversold the event vendor-wise, right?
Well, I watched a video from 5 weeks ago today to see what had actually gone on, where they changed the venue, and she explained why. She did have a reason, which didn't seem to be anything dramatic, but what she kept saying was that this venue was better, the new one was better, because there were actually 2 buildings, so they could be inside. So it sounds like the previous venue was all outside. So I don't know whether that's. I think it was. Was it a vineyard or something?
Did she say why she changed the venue?
She did, but it didn't. It wasn't anything that was notable for me to remember. Do you know what I mean?
Because
If it was a dramatic,
large projects, you don't change things 5 weeks before.
But she did say, and I thought, fair dues to her. She did say that there would be some outside vendors, where the vendors have all been saying that was a shock to them. So she did say 5 weeks ago that some people would be outside. But the vendors are not acknowledging that she ever said that. But she did 5 weeks ago. She said that.
I thought they were told they had a choice.
Right. Maybe they did. Well, there was this thing on the Wednesday, wasn't there? So what happened? They were allowed to set up on the Thursday, but the mean girls, or the in crowd, as they've been called, were given an extra day. So they were able to get the best spot and set up on the Wednesday.
Okay, so that begs a huge question. Is that not... I've done craft fairs in the past. You know exactly where your spot is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this time nobody knew.
Like,
there
even
was
it was a first come, first serve.
Yeah, and there was on the day they didn't know.
No.
Like normally customers are given a list and nobody knew.
No.
Yeah, and there was no map, I heard, either.
Yeah,
when you go to the itty bitty fiber fun in the SIP at Vicksburg, Mississippi, you know 2 weeks at a time the map. Here's where everybody is, and you know where you need to go.
Well, they didn't, and then with the people that are well known, they were set up well in advance of everyone else. But then what was happening is people who had paid for so many meters of table space only got so much of it, and there was people in little corners. I think one person said they were in the bathroom or something, or must be right next to it.
No, Magpie Yarns was across from the bathroom, and it was so atrocious that Adela and Jimmy could not deign to even be in their bathroom.
Oh, so it's just right, okay.
But Stephanie said that allegedly she failed to get the proper permits for the first place, and that it could have handled it, but she didn't plan well. So I don't know.
Right.
And I had heard that too, which I call a big fat BS on, because there is zero chance that any town or entity is not going to know that 3,000 people are coming into their place. And unless this was a teeny tiny Jessica Fletcher village here, surely somebody knew that. Oh,
well, hey, she said in this video from 5 weeks ago that the town were really looking forward to these 3,000 people coming to visit. So somebody must have known.
And the town should have issued permits, and they should have procured the permits, because I don't know about y'all, but we gotta get a permit to pee around here. I mean, it's ridiculous. So there is no way that.
So one of the other things apparently was people were queuing up, and nobody bothered to tell them that there was actually another 3 or 4 entry points. So everyone just queued at one spot, and nobody bothered to tell them, oh, go over there and you'll, and then there was one person apparently scanning the tickets rather than the whole team of people. But I don't know. But I think the whole
So-
thing blew up just because of the weather.
No, but it was incredibly muddy and mud and yarn.
No,
Yeah.
Well,
So
also that the wheelchair access and everything else, but that there's only one elevator and there was like 5 stories of stuff and everyone was shoved in and it wasn't fire code.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't one woman fall out of her chair as well?
oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah, not a chair. It was I don't know what you call them,
Which
like
again, that comes back to the BS on the permits, because that's the whole point of a permit, is that we know X amount of people can fit in this X amount of space. The elevator is here. The exits are here. There's this amount of bathrooms, this amount of drinking fountains. That's the entire point of construction building management.
Right.
I mean,
So-
if I had to spend my days knowing how high a sink has to be in the bathroom so you can fit a wheelchair under it, these people obviously did not do their homework.
Yeah, somebody fell as well and hurt themselves, and so there's definitely going to be a lawsuit. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
They made a big deal about.
But yeah,
that.
they were shuttling people back and forth from Walmart, I heard, but Walmart wouldn't know that they were doing that. And
Yeah, it was a thing. But see, this is where if they had known my grandfather, it all could have been fixed, because he used to say proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And if they had just planned properly ahead of time, none of this would have happened.
Your failure
And obvious
to prepare does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Oh, I had a Bible teacher that said that. God, I hated that man. I understand now as an adult, but
again, I understand that as an adult also, but I'm like, could you just help me? Just be quiet.
well, I understand
yeah.
he said it because he didn't want to have to listen to a whole bunch of senior high school students talking about how they couldn't do their homework because their dog ate it.
Right.
I get it, but also
Yeah, I know.
didn't like him at the time.
Get it. And that's why last night when I was on knit night, I said, I don't understand how this happened at all, period. Like, I just, from a functional management standpoint, don't understand. Because I was explaining my cousin, well, that's clearly wrong.
She wasn't following the laws, and that's why.
That is wrong. So I don't understand how there's not going to be much more subsequent legal fallout from this, A, from the town, and B, from the other people, and the people who get hurt, and this and that, because I was trying to explain, my cousin runs a hospice house, which is a completely for charity, non-for-profit. Nobody pays to go there and die. I mean, it sounds horrible, but that's what the purpose of a hospice facility is. And the way that they fund it, one of the major way they fund it is a huge crawfish festival that they have every year. It takes her all freaking year to plan this thing. And there are shuttle buses that have an agreement that they park in this grocery store and they will shuttle people back and forth. There's various entrance points. You pay your money. You get all the crawfish you can eat. Everybody's got contracts and agreements, and they know exactly what's going to happen. This should have been the same thing. So if 3 people can plan this in my little podunk town,
right?
Surely.
And yeah, that so much of this allegedly. No, so much of this just seems like a profound lack of planning, and the vendors aren't happy, and they had to pay a stupid amount to get in, $900. And okay, I get it. Like
$900?
Yeah,
that's a lot of money, man.
It is a lot of money. And also I get that it's a big show and you're expected to get a lot of sales out of this. You're people who may not have seen you before. Like as stupid as expensive as that is, like if I was doing a booth at Rhinebeck, again, I haven't been, but if they said
you wouldn't be allowed to do a booth at Rhinebeck, Ann. Let's just put that out there first.
Oh man.
But even the most basic crappy like local craft fair that I did back in the day I knew exactly where my booth was. Like that just boggles my mind that the people didn't know at all.
Dude, I organized a craft fair for several years. It's not rocket science. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do because you have to like
been a contract between the organizers and the vendors. If the vendor signed that contract and it did not say you will be here or you will have your booth space within X amount of time before the event, I wouldn't have signed the contract. So a little bit of responsibility goes on the vendors because I would love to see this contract.
I wonder though whether if they'd signed 5 weeks ago before she actually moved the venue.
If she changed the venue, the responsibility is still
Right.
on her.
And also,
Hmm.
I can imagine on the vendor's part, if you said, okay, I'm buying however much size table or whatever, that you don't really think to say, exactly where is that beforehand.
Right.
There'll be a plan and a map or something that if you don't check that beforehand, I can get that if you expect people to have things planned well.
Have X amount of space.
Yeah.
So
Wasn't there an issue as well with actually getting people's stock from where they parked into
I heard
the
that
building?
was an issue too.
That they
I would
weren't
love
allowed
see
to
this
offload.
contract. If anybody has the contract, I read contracts all day long.
I'm sure somebody shared one. But I never thought to save it. I wish I had.
Because I know how to read contracts, and I would love to read these contracts because I highly doubt that it is as covered as the organizers think.
One of the first things that happened about it was the snark, wasn't it, on Craft Snark? So somebody started to complain about it. But then the funniest thing was when a couple of people on there were saying, well, I had a great time. And then they were accused of toxic positivity. So that's a thing now. If you're too positive, you're being toxic.
Well,
so
okay. The thing that drives me nuts. The vendors had a bad time. A lot of them did. Maybe some of them had a great time, but a lot of them have a bad time, and they're talking as if they had been through war, which not to discount that they actually had a bad time, and it was expensive and it was stupid, and they might have even had product destroyed in the mud. This would have been awful for them. But they're like sharing their stories like they had a group traumatic experience. And it's like, and I get that it was a rough time, but also, okay, fine.
But have you not noticed that it's kind of snowballed a little bit? At the beginning, I think none of them were saying anything simply because Felicia's black. How dare they, imply that a black person wasn't competent to do that job, which she obviously isn't. But it's only when a few of the names have started to get involved, then suddenly they've all had a bad time.
I know. Well, from what I understand, Adela was happy and smiling and talking with everybody, and isn't this the best weekend ever, ever, ever? And then it was the big statement of, I am more aggrieved than everybody. In fact, I am the most worst off of everyone ever. And it was terrible. I didn't get, it's like, I practically wept over the lack of wheelchair ramps. It was awful. I can't stand it. And they didn't put my logo on the poster. I mean, what's with that? And, I don't think you were upset before anybody said anything, Adela.
I do want to clarify that I think lack of wheelchair accessibility is abhorrent.
Right, you do need wheelchair accessibility.
Here's something I need to ask you.
Joke on the behalf of the expense of the disabled.
If you're attending an outside venue, wouldn't you presume that there may be some natural terrain that you have to navigate?
So can I just say something? My mother is disabled and she can't walk very far. So often if we go anywhere, we use a wheelchair. And so as the fact that she sometimes has to use a wheelchair when we have gone to craft fairs and things, there are vendors we can't look at. There are things because if it's an outdoor event, there are places she just has a regular, like you would get in the hospital, it unfolds, you push her. It's not anything fancy because she doesn't use it all the time. So I think that yes, places should be accessible, but also there are situations like if it's raining, they can't control that. They can't make her wheelchair work in the mud. That's not anybody's fault.
Because there people do fail to understand that a private event is different than a public facility. So your library must have accessibility. A private event does not have to have accessibility. There's some differences there at least in America.
Can I ask a terminology question here? Because she used in a video about access from 5 weeks ago, she used a term that we're not allowed to say in this country, and I wondered whether you are allowed to say it, and it's to do with disabilities. So she used the term handicapped. She said handicapped spaces, and we wouldn't be allowed to say that. So I just wondered if that's normal in America.
Really?
We still call them handicapped parking spots, and your little placard, if you need to park in one of those, as far as I know, it's still called a handicap thing.
Yeah, so we would have to say disabled.
We call my mom's her. I'm like, do you have your handicrapper thing? You know, so I can hang it in the car and park where I need to. So
I mean,
I don't know. I'm not the one to ask.
The technical legal term in public spaces is that it's ADA. It has to be ADA compliant, which is the American Disabilities Act. So there's a code that things must meet if it's a public place, that these things that they have determined meet ADA must be. And not seeing smiling faces is not ADA. Sorry. It is not.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I'm the mod for Carrie. I'm your friendly mod.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if people are talking out of their rear ends. So anyway, somebody said something about neurodivergent. I've never read the word neurodivergent so many times. Dude, I'm neurodivergent. I don't need to talk about it. I just can't focus, and it's like something shiny flashes and I have to go run away. Like I went out to get my wine and then I'm opening granola bars and I forgot I was on a podcast. It's life. Like, move on.
Everybody has to be special
Focus.
now, though, DK.
No, everybody's.
I don't want to be special. I don't want to be special.
I think everybody on the planet is probably neurodivergent. Isn't that the whole point of divergent? We're all different neurologically. Whatever the word would be.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but okay, here's the thing though, that they have like, oh, well, this was bad for quote neurodivergent people because it was so squished together. No, there was a lot of crowds. Like, look, okay, there's a lot of reasons that a lot of people don't like tight crowds, and fire code wise, they should have been spread out a little bit more.
Right.
But
yeah, fire code wise, they don't like tight crowds either.
Right, fire code wise, who doesn't like to get trampled? I'll go first.
But you're outside, so fire code is different. So anyway,
right. But okay, there's lots of people who don't like crowds for a lot of different reasons. Like, okay, so you generally choose less busy times. Sunday mornings are usually slower at craft shows. Right. It's like you don't need to make it a whole thing.
Or I hate crowds. I would absolutely hate every second of going to a
I would too. I would not.
And so I don't go. It's like, just because I hate it doesn't mean they have to accommodate for me. So I can have a royal tour on my own.
But you don't have a special like little thing, Neil, that means that everybody has to do what you like all the time.
True, yeah.
Well,
yeah. And also, I want my 15% fat tax taken off everything because I'm a fat person. So
I ranted about this in our chat, our Telegram chat, that it really pisses me off that things have changed so much, because I have a child with a special need that these kind of situations would be his nightmare. And I spent a very long time helping him learn to cope with these situations so that he doesn't have to fall out in these situations, and we can learn how to cope with the situation. And if we truly, truly cannot navigate the situation, we don't put ourselves in it. And
but
if
Amy,
we have to, here's how we cope.
I'm sorry, but what you are talking about is personal responsibility. And how could you even pretend that people should have to be able to hold themselves accountable for something?
Today, I had a very strange message sent to me, and it was quite abusive. And it was because of how evil and unempathetic I am, because I don't believe I should have to wear a mask when there are people who are immunocompromised running around breathing in air. And it's like,
they should wear their own mask. That's their own
warm spit bacteria farms.
Bacteria farms, yeah.
So to that, my only reply would have been, did you wear a mask in all those circumstances prior to 2020?
Which is
if
no.
Your answer is no.
They're a new believer.
Go away.
Yeah.
Because
the nastiness, the level of nastiness was quite shocking. And I also had two people contact me saying they'd had it as well.
Okay, at this point, though, if you still believe in masking, like you are, you are entrenched.
Yeah. What does Cherise call it? A COVIDian?
Yeah.
What?
Like the Branch Davidian, she calls it a COVIDian.
Who does?
Cherise.
Oh.
That's right. I saw that.
Sorry, I was reading comments and I totally forgot we were talking again. See, this is why I'm not allowed to. Who put me in charge?
You need to get your neurodivergency under control.
No, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
No, we need to make allowances for her.
That's right. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you
No.
guys.
We're the
There's no
opposite of
personal
allowances.
responsibility.
We are
She's
just the
special.
brutal, unempathetic conservatives, and get your crap together. I say as me, who never has my crap together.
And you have hurt my feelers, and now I'm mad.
I mean, it just
I'm
really
sorry for your
boggles my
feelings.
mind sometimes. I mean, because not only as a parent, but I taught for years, and my entire job was to make the best attempt I could at the end of the year that this child that came to me with a diagnosis that no one knew that diagnosis, and then I sent him along his path to the next grade as functioning as he could be. My goal was when I actually got kids off of their therapies because of teaching, and I had parents get mad at me for that.
Good round of applause for Amy. She
I had
did good
parents
work.
mad at me for that because when you lose their diagnosis, you lose some money. But
Yeah. And sympathy.
that's that side.
And a bit of weird clout,
That
unfortunately,
used
but
to be
money
the
primarily.
goal as a teacher, as a parent, was to send these human beings out into the world, and we celebrate everybody's individuality, and we celebrate our differences, and we enjoy them, but we don't want them to be this spectacle of humanity for people to constantly be aware of. Did something just change that I didn't get a memo on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's the everybody's a winner. That's what changed.
Everybody's
Wasn't
a
my
winner.
special.
Everybody's a special snowflake.
but
And
also,
heaven forbid
Nobody's
that you hold them
ordinary
accountable.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
years
and
ago,
al-
you were considered ordinary. You were nothing special when you were a kid. You know what I mean? When we were kids, we were just there. And unless you were exceptionally talented, you were just going to go and work in the factory like everyone else was, you know. And that's didn't do us any harm.
Well,
Well,
that's just your internalized shit. I can't even think of what it would be.
misogyny.
Oh,
But
patriarchy, white nationalism, white.
right.
something.
But just because we feel like we were fine after being spanked by our parents doesn't mean that that was really okay. So
yeah, well,
it's just a bunch of nonsense.
I should sit in my discomfort, shouldn't I? Hey, which
Please
one's
do.
this? Oh,
She's gonna rub against the computer, so I'm trying to get her to go away.
which one is it? What's she called?
Minnie.
Minnie.
oh, she's very pretty. No, but there is a bizarre sense of rank that comes with these like
Really?
illnesses and neurodivergence.
Yes.
and-
Yes.
and also among parents too, and sometimes it's the parent, sometimes it's the kid, but
Right.
parents insisting. Sorry, I run into this a lot because all my friends are weird. I'm a bit weird. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to present company, except I do a little
I'm
bit.
weird. I'm fine.
No,
I'm
we're
okay.
cool, right? We're all
But are
cool.
you special weird? Are you special weird?
Oh, I won't let them tell me if I'm special weird or not. I'd like to keep that to myself, thanks. But
I would like to see those standard deviations.
like, ooh, no, I
Who
know.
knows what that means?
Yeah, I don't know what level of whatever I am. I mean, besides the fact I'm a big walking billboard for Asperger's presents itself differently in females. Woohoo! But no official anything.
Just own it, Anne. Just own it.
Just own it. I'll just
Oh my gosh.
I already knew that. Keep going.
just
I
yeah,
don't think
yeah,
you're allowed to call it Asperger's anymore. I think they changed that.
No, you can still call it that, but now it's not. It's under the whole spectrum.
Everything is under the spectrum. If everything.
Yeah, nobody is a thing anymore, are they?
Are you in a rainbow now?
have a
If
thing.
it's a spectrum, man?
Well, that's a puzzle piece.
I hope it's a grayscale.
Oh.
It, no, but
A puritanical fun run scale.
yes, we're
Yes.
we're back. Or-
Something.
me and everyone else who's read Solomon Kane. But we are, but okay, with friends throughout my life who have had different things, that it's always kind of impressed me with not impressed as in it's cool, impressed as in deep into my soul, the amount of times that people have they've been treated differently, but also like if different authority figures in their life, like I'm talking teenagers, that kind of level, have been told that this person has a thing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Everybody has a thing. Like, that's cool.
Flip that.
like everybody has a thing. I've been around people who literally can't stand whistlers. I'm like, that's a thing. If you want to put that on a scale, that's fine.
When I was teaching, one thing I noticed early on, so we're talking long before all this nonsense started, but you would have one kid in the class who had a thing, and they would then have a support worker, and they seemed to get extra help so they got extra time in exams. They got an extra half an hour where everyone else only
extra attention.
Yeah. Lots of, you don't have to do that bit of homework because that's, and they got away with it. So then somebody else wanted to be part of that, and then somebody else wanted to be, and before you know it, the entire classroom, apart from one poor bloody kid, has got something wrong with them, and they're all getting extra time and extra help, and this one person has to do it on their own, you know. And my thing about it is that if you can't run a marathon, tough shit. You don't get someone to push you in a wheelchair and then you get the medal for running the marathon, you know. Correct. And that is what happens in the education system here anyway. The support workers end up doing all the bloody work, and you know they're giving them the answers in the exams because that's what they kind of have to do. What else are they supposed to do? And then those kids can't do the thing that they've just passed an exam in.
Yep.
So what is the point?
Neil, now if you live in Oregon,
also
they're just not gonna they're gonna just not even test people in proficiency in math, reading, and writing.
So you're just gonna pass
for the next 5 years
too. I forgot.
Right. And also, okay, in that situation, and what I was previously saying, it's the sort of soft bigotry of low expectations. And also it's insulting. It just is.
Yeah.
I had a student once say to me, he said, I've got dyslexia. My mum says that I don't have to read. And I said, well, in my classroom, you do have to read, whether you've got dyslexia or not.
Let me help you learn how.
Yeah. It's like, just because you've got it, whatever it is, doesn't mean you get, a whole pass or whatever the phrase is.
If you have a diagnosis of any sort, it should be there to say, okay, you struggle with this, and this is
get over it.
Help.
The entire point of an IEP used to be an individualized education plan for that child, which the goal is to not need the IEP anymore. Mm-hmm. The entire goal is supposed to be that we will work X amount of minutes with this child on these goals, and every time we meet every year, we should be making different goals because the child shouldn't meet those goals, and the goals could be drastically different. I mean, I taught kids who literally had half a brain removed. He still had goals. Okay, he had goals. Sorry, he had goals that he had to work on. Okay, we met those goals. They might have been as simple as he walked 2 steps in his walker, but it was still a goal. I mean, now, literally, Neil, when I first started teaching in 2001, I worked in early Head Start, which was specifically for preschool age, low income, high risk students. Okay, this is not regular public pre-K like they have now. So this was 0 to 3. And the whole goal was to get these kids ready for regular pre-K. So obviously this statistically was far more needs than other children. So I ended up with the older kids. Cats, seriously. And I moved on into the 3 to 4 year olds. When I started with them in like 2002, I maybe had 3 or 4 IEPs. By the time I left education completely and totally, and I was done with it in 2010, 70 to 80% of the class had IEPs.
Ooh.
Just because they labeled everything, and you had students, and they had doctors who knew that if they gave certain labels, it would give the family more money for things, and the doctors would participate in that.
And also, it takes away the stigma of having a stupid child.
Right, but nobody knew that except me as the teacher and the teacher assistant. Nobody knew which kid had issues or things. I used to purposely get my classroom list and not, other than they're going to die if you don't do this information, I used to not read all their files on purpose because they came with baggage and information that other people had put on them. And I wanted to meet these human beings where they were and see what they really needed. Other than hey, don't give my kid this food, he'll die, or he needs this medicine. I'm not talking about that part of the life. We had health notes and we had behavior notes. They're 2 different things.
Also, I'm going to take this pause and be like, look at my hat. And also, I want to see.
Oh, cute.
Oh, thanks.
Which I'm told you get to go to something, right?
I do.
I hope it hasn't got a smiley face. That would be traumatic.
Kat, would you please?
No, it just has nerd glasses as a
That's a relief.
stigmatizing statement. Yeah, I think I'm about ready for the decrease. No, this is the Nerdrotic logo because I'm going to a meetup. I'm super excited.
Because she's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
She's special.
And I'll be with the other special people. The other
another friend of ours is going. I don't know if you know that. So
what?
Morgan.
Yes, I know because I coordinated with Morgan.
Okay, just making sure.
What?
We got.
I want a picture.
What is this nonsense?
Nerds.
It's a betrayal, DK. She's betrayed you.
You mean that this is a nerd meetup in Milwaukee, and I did not say, "Hey, there's a nerd meetup in Milwaukee."
Oh no, I'm not.
Fallout tattoos.
Okay, I get that, but I've just said to Anne on several occasions she's met like more viewers than I have and stuff, and I just find it so weird. I live in New York. How is she meeting all these people? I don't understand.
You have tiny humans that you have to take care of.
They do make things difficult.
I've met more American viewers than you have.
In the
DK.
commie corner of America. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yes, I haven't met any.
More on the way to things.
Well, I kind of have an expectation. If there's anything cool going on, I'm going to have to go there to get to it. Like, ain't nothing by me. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. I have met a couple people who've seen our show. Hi, in this area, but still, I'm just, I kind of have the idea of I want to go to a nerd meetup. They're not going to have a nerd meetup in South Dakota. If they do, I'd be really.
And what I need you to do is make sure that the nerd meetup is as accessible as possible.
Right.
Well, it is going to be at a restaurant that probably follows health and safety fire code.
But if you get upset with all the smiles, please don't call us.
Well, maybe you should just bring extra masks so that you can tell people to cover up their offending smiles.
That's a great idea.
Just hand them out.
Yeah, I'm sure that will go over really, really well at a conservative, probably mostly male group.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, if your feelers are hurt, there are things you can do.
That's right. Sorry, I can.
Yeah, just find a safe space, a crying closet.
Cry. I mean, bring Molly so that you have your emotional support pet with you in case you need to
register her.
First off, I would not register my dog because I am her emotional support animal. And that would just be dishonest. And also, I don't know. As I said before, Molly is like, I'm not one of those persons who's like, oh, it's my baby. I'm like, no, Molly's my permanent roommate, except for now. It's not living with me.
Speaking of emotionally support pets and things, and I've mentioned in a chat room about that weird film that I watched, and I think you should all watch it now. It's called Wolf. And why it's weird, I thought it was about a werewolf.
I'm very sorry.
People who think they're animals.
I don't think any of your movie recommendations from this video, I'm going to watch any of them. I'm sorry.
So what I'm hearing is Neil needs to have a special segment in Blocked.
What for
movie
Neil movies
that he watches for the team, so we all don't have to.
No, but this is so important because it's like about what the kids are doing, being cats and having to go to the toilet in litter trays, and it's kind of like a sort of a dystopian future of what people are going to be like, and they're all in a what do you call it when you go to get off drugs? What's it called? Rehab. Yeah. They're all in rehab to stop being animals.
That's bizarre, but I have a question. So if I'm using a litter tray, am I using it in the middle of the classroom making eye contact with people like my cat does when she goes in there?
Yeah, the cat does. And this is one of the weird things about this movie. This is why it's so disturbing, because the guy, they call him the zookeeper. He makes them do what that animal would really do. So, and it's horrible, because he's like saying, see, you're not a squirrel. See, you are not a parrot. And like the girl who thinks she's a parrot, he's trying to force her to jump out of a 5-story building to fly. and she has to admit at the end of it she isn't a parrot because she can't fly. You know, it is disturbing, but it's quite weird and quite watchable in a really kind of sick way.
That's really strange.
The squirrel is the saddest one.
Hey, Elle?
But I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. I just want to know where the Frederick Fiber Festival is, and can you tell me more about this? I can't make that go away.
So
now.
the indoor venue is free, as in for like her to go to it, I assume, right?
I think so.
Yeah. That was the other thing, is those people paid like $50 or whatever to get in.
I'd be pissed.
Like, if I'm paying money, you better show me some sheep. There better be a class, a goodie bag, like something.
Yeah, why do you have to pay money to go and buy things? I don't get that.
Right.
I mean,
because that's just taking away from my yarn budget, really.
I have gone to other craft fairs where there's an entry fee and to go get in, because you could walk around and not buy anything. So this is the way for the organizers to make some money.
Well, that's the whole point of shopping, isn't it? If you go to a shopping center, you don't have to pay to walk through the door, do you?
Right.
No, but some like fairs and stuff do, and it's like, you know, $5 to $10 entry.
Right. Yeah, it's not much. Yeah, little something. Yeah, and a lot of times it's donates whatever to charity or whatever. You know, half goes to the people, half goes to charity, whatever. You know, but yeah, if I paid $50 to walk in and I couldn't walk around anywhere and I couldn't see the stuff and I had a legitimate need and I could not get to the 3 floors above me, I would have been pretty pissed as a vendor. So, I mean, as a customer.
Yeah.
And I'd be pissed as a vendor.
But, you know, for the vendors to be like, oh, everybody who said it was a great time, to be mad at them. Dude, if people went and they said they had a great time and they paid their money and they walked around, then that's their business. It's not up to anybody to tell you whether or not you had a good time. Right. So,
yeah, it kind of makes me think like Jazz Fest. Okay, Jazz Fest is a humongous thing here. It's 3 flipping weekends long. It's the biggest festival in the city. It is literally at a racetrack horse like fairground thing. Like, it literally smells of horse manure. And people pay big money, because I'm talking big stars like Fleetwood Mac kind of stuff. You know, there's like everywhere, musicians everywhere for weeks on end. I'm pretty sure it's not wheelchair accessible.
Well, it probably is to an extent.
That it's at the fairgrounds, it's in the mud. I mean, there may be some wheelchair accessibility areas, and I know there's a few accommodation things. Like, I know there's like a booze-free booth for the people who don't drink, which I think is nice. That's cool. And there's a kids area, and I get that stuff. But again,
we have a real life person who was there.
Yeah. Ink Tool was there. I was so cool in fuckery. I walk with a cane and it was awful. I'm sure.
We need to get her on.
The question though is, was it awful? Well, number one, do you want to come on? And number two, was it awful because of the weather, or was it awful because of the setup?
Or in a combination of both.
Or both.
Did you not?
Or was it worse than war?
My question is, were you as a customer not informed of the environment of which it was going to be in? That's my question.
Well, and I believe Inktool that she has a shop too, so she may have been a vendor. I'm not sure.
A vendor, which even better. Oh, I want the contract. If you have the contract.
Well, we just have to wait for her to type now.
Inktool, please let us know.
Present. Now, I've heard of Inktool. Why do I know of Inktool? What's has she been on something recently?
Not that I'm aware of, but
no, she recently found. I believe she recently found us because she sent us a message.
Oh, cool.
Has she joined one of our forums? Is that where I've seen her, or am I just imagining
just on Instagram, I believe. Anyways, not to chat about you. Well,
but we want to know more though.
Right.
I mean, I am genuine.
I'm mid-flight, so I'm lagging a little. I'm on my way home to Montana.
Wow, that's dedication to the cause.
Okay, so will you send us a message? Send myself or Anna a message, and we'll chat. Because we would like to know more. A lot more.
I am just curious, like, for the customer.
Amy wants her contract.
I want the contract for the vendors.
If you were a vendor, we don't know. We don't understand.
Did you know, as a customer, that you were going outside and or inside? You know, That's my question is I don't know the area and I don't understand the area, so I understand Rhinebeck takes place outside. I get that. Is this not something known? You know what I mean? Because the venue.
Did you see the walkthroughs? There was a couple of videos, wasn't there, where somebody had walked through?
I didn't look at them, but I saw somebody.
And it was. I mean, it looked worse just because of the mud, but it was things like, you know, the power sources were in like plastic bags to stop them getting wet and things like that, and that seemed a bit weird. You'd think there'd be some kind of a plastic covering, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah, I mean, usually there's plywood or a plastic or something. Because if you think about it, everybody uses square readers and stuff. You have to have some kind of electricity. You know?
And I saw somebody had said something about they had to have tea lights at one point because there was no power for their lights or something. And it's like, where the hell were they?
What's in the contract? Because the contract should have said electric. Come on, people!
I cannot wait for the dramatic reading of the contract once.
Do not vend if you don't read the contract.
So I was going to say, I've done many, many little craft things in my life. I've always had a thing that at least tells me, like, if I have to bring my own table, how big my space is. Like, I've never had them set up because the ones I've done are very small. So they're like in a gym. Like, you don't need a map for the gym. So, like, if you want to find me, I can wave at you when you come in. It's not a big deal. But it's always said, like, if you need to bring a table, if you need to bring a chair, if you need electric, if you need extra space, if you need some kind of accommodations. But, like, and I've only done teeny tiny little shows that, like, I mean, for me, an expensive show costs like $45, and I still want to know the answer to these things. So, like, what are these people doing? It doesn't make any sense.
I volunteer as tribute. If any vendor would ever like me to read their contract, I am not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. However, I do manage $1 million projects, so feel free to have me read.
Well, was it true that the customers were getting charged more as the day was going on? You know, I
didn't hear that.
So it was $50 at one point.
Wait, to get in?
To get in, and then it was $60 later on.
That's the opposite of how it should go.
Yeah, but I can't remember where I've got that bit of information from, though. That's what I'm saying. Is it right? Allegedly, it might not be right.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So Inked Wool says that it was for a capacity of 500 people and she sold 5,000 tickets.
What?
And the reason she went is because she was looking to vend in a few years, but there's no way.
She was a customer. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I bet she was glad she went.
Yeah.
Save yourself the misery.
Do your due diligence. That's the other thing.
That is true. Do your due diligence.
Some Elle said that she heard they doubled the tickets. The price of that they doubled the tickets available. So I don't know whether she means they doubled the price of the tickets or doubled the amount of tickets.
Yeah.
So instead of,
I mean, a common thing is you save money if you pre-order your tickets, and then a common thing is it's X amount at the door, it's X amount if you pre-order, and if you don't, like, you go to the zoo, it's cheaper if you go after 3 p.m. or whatever. You know, it doesn't get more expensive as the day goes on.
Well, there you go.
Sounds like it was $50 pre-sale with $65 at the door.
Is that legal? Are you allowed to do that?
We do that all the time around here. That's the thing.
For the original site, and they were told.
Well, you do. You put the price up.
Oh yeah. Because it helps if you have a lower price in the beginning. It helps you to, like, get numbers and get your seats filled. So you charge less for those to get people to buy them up front, and then you charge more at the door.
But do you not have to make that clear, though? Do you not have to say early bird seats are this amount and latecomers pay this amount?
I mean, I would get it.
Usually you hear it.
If I was like going to like a concert, and I would expect that I would have cheaper prices than, you know, if I bought the tickets before than if I showed up at the door. But to midday to change it, if that's what happened, that's shocking.
Yeah. No. Inked Wool is saying it was pre-order.
Right.
It was $65 at the door, but $45 to $50 to pre-order.
Okay, that makes more sense. That's still stupid expensive.
It is, but that's standard because the point is to sell the tickets.
2 skeins of yarn, guys. That's 2 skeins of yarn you couldn't buy because you had to get inside the door.
But it doesn't matter. But the point is, if you,
I'm just saying that's dumb. I wouldn't pay that.
Give people a pre-order price, that's fine, but you should have counted the pre-order price, and you should know I can fit X amount of people at the door. So if you were going to sell out at the door, stop selling tickets.
But if you're going to charge, sorry, Anne, go on.
No, I was just going to say that, remember in COVID land, the horrible place, where you would have like Walmart or another grocery store and they would have numbers and they'd say that only so many people could be in the store. So that they had a clicker for people in, people out. If they had a similar system, then they could have done, I'm sorry, only 500 people can be in here. And people would probably have been ticked. But
wow, have you seen that she's just put?
Well, here, hold on. So
oh, there's some great stuff going out.
Early folks got a swag bag, but others didn't. They didn't know where to get them. It was nonsense. Okay. And then Inked Wool said, I heard many people that Pam said the vendors can suck it, but I'm not sure who Pam is. So there you go.
Well, Pam's a bitch, isn't she? Obviously.
Yeah, I would totally blame Pam too. Hate that bitch.
We have so many opinions on Pam now.
Damn, Pam.
And if you're following us in your Pam, we're not talking about you. We're talking about that other one.
Unless you are that other one.
Unless you're the one that said
Pam, feel free to tell your side of the story here.
This is very much like a Karen thing, isn't it? Pam has definitely got a visual.
Neil always offers, and DK and Ann always offer for people to come in and share their side of the story. So if
you're Pam
and
you're watching,
and not to volunteer Neil or anything, but I have a feeling that there may be a wool and folk article forthcoming. And if so,
I am hoping so. Yes. So Pam or Felicia,
if you went to maybe Wool and Folk, you want to get with Neil and maybe share,
write an article, do a little talking. Inked Wool never got a swag bag. I mean, I'd be pissed if I was.
You can be anonymous if you like. You don't have to give your real name.
That's right. He will keep you sacred. Which, by the way, I know I've missed several weeks because I was out of town and then I was sick and my husband got sick. But now I have to write a freaking recanted article about Stephen West.
You do?
I am very pissed about that.
Well, I wrote an article before the Stephen West thing came out for the next issue.
I wrote an article about Stephen West in the last Block magazine saying, don't be a fan, saying how, hey, we should all be more like Stephen West. Your friends should peer pressure you into doing things that make you uncomfortable, but you do them anyway, and you should take chances, and you should live a little and be a Stephen West. Then this idiot goes out and basically calls everybody a Nazi. And now I got to recant because now I say, don't be like Stephen West.
It's all part of my plan to get you to write every issue something new.
Like literally the next day.
Amy, just be like me and just tell him you're going to write and then just never do it.
Yeah. Do you know how long it is now, Amy? It's nearly 2 years since DK promised she was going to do that.
Hey,
yeah.
Wow.
At least Amy does what she promises.
But
I don't mean to not.
Like, how's it going with that test knit that somebody was supposed to do for you?
Oh well, yeah, that's still in a box somewhere, I think.
What? Oh
yes.
I was like, wait, I don't think that's me.
No, not you.
That look of panic on your face. Then.
I was about to say, speaking of things promised to do, please do remember, everybody, that get your mittens in for Neil.
Oh God, yeah. Well,
because
thank you, Anne.
Could y'all explain?
I printed mine off. I have done nothing but have them printed.
I missed the mitten thing, and I have not read all of Blocked. I'm sorry.
I have not read all of Blocked either.
You were even in this issue, and you didn't.
I was out of town, and I got sick, so I beg forgiveness. What is the mitten thing?
Okay, so
talk about it.
So there's a pattern already done for you that you can just print off. You can change it if you want to, but it has to still be a mitten, so you can't do a fingerless mitten or whatever. And you just
like a trigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea is that there's two parts to the competition. The first part is just to design a pattern, just to colour in the squares, and then either take a photograph of it or do it yourself on Stitch Fiddle or whatever. And if you get that to me before the end of November, before the last day of November, we'll do the patrons are going to choose the winner of the best design. Then there's a second part to the competition that you don't have to do if you've done the first part, but it'll be good if you did, and that is to actually knit at least one of the mittens and send in a photograph, and that is what Liz Clothier is going to be judging.
Okay.
Now that has to be by the end, so it's the end of the year basically, so 31st or whatever it is of December. So you've got 2 months, or you had 2 months to do the pattern, 3 months to do the actual mitten.
Okay.
Well, that's time is ticking away, though.
Is there a PG-13ness to it?
There is. So if you want to do something really rude, you can do. However, rude, yes. However, what I'll be doing, just because we have some real delicate snowflakes as readers.
I'm a Christian, but I cuss a little too. I'm just asking.
So the dodgy stuff will be a link, so you'll know. Okay. So you won't get to it won't just appear as you turn the magazine page. You'll have to knowingly click on the pornographic.
You have to consent. You have to consent.
So the one that says, I'm a filthy pervert and I want to see the rude stuff.
I want to see the mittens.
What you've got to press that, which will then be logged, and I will know which of you.
As long as you consent, that's all I care about.
I won't know if you've clicked on it.
So the mitten is like it's all the same stitches count across.
Yeah. So what it is it's a Selbu style mitten, and it's been written in the original way they would write it, i.e. the sizes are done by going up and down in needle sizes rather than changing stitch count, purely to make it easier.
60 stitch mitten.
It's what?
60 stitch mitten.
Okay.
But it does. But you do increase quite a bit when you do the thumb, and then
so I could color some things and make something, right?
Yeah. The only thing I would say is, being you could get your kids to do it if you want. There's no reason they can't win. Obviously, they're going to win, a yarn prize for you. So why not get them to do it? But as a knitter, you need to be able to say, yes, this is possible. So don't be doing 17 colors on one row.
Right. So
keep it believable, realistic.
Carrying floats or okay, yeah.
I mean, you could have a 20 stitch float as long as you
duplicate stitch. Can I cheat and do that?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, that works. Yeah, you can do it as Intarsia if you want, because I know Anne's Intarsia queen, so it doesn't have to be fair.
Yeah, but I'm not. I do like a regular stranded work mitten, so I think I'm gonna keep it that way if possible. But
you could do a pattern, a knit and purl pattern if you prefer. If you don't want to do color work.
Oh, that's true.
Fine.
That's true.
Yeah, anything will work like that, no problem.
But yeah, I have a couple ideas, but nothing.
Knit Effery has just said something. Show us your mitts. Yeah, she missed that bit before with Amy and Tabitha running through the forest. So has anybody started theirs then? So I know Anna's printed hers.
Not me.
And I know Amy did that on the thing last night, so I know she ain't doing it.
It is a challenge that is judged blind. But also I was like, crap, when's this deadline? I gotta get something going like now. Like
you've got a full month. You've got all of November.
Like I told Neil I would. Oh no.
Oh, and if you do knit it, I don't know, they said you only have to do one. Oh, you've had an idea. Well, get the kids to do it. Get the kids to do a design.
That would be kind of cool.
And can you only have one entry?
I haven't considered that. Why? If you want to do more than one, you can do more than one.
Well, especially the design part. If you're not actually knitting it,
Yeah.
In theory, you could, do
but here's the caveat. Here's the reason. The other, one of the reasons I'm doing it is that when you've designed it, I also have the right to publish it in the magazine afterwards.
Well, yeah.
So you retain that right as well as the person that has designed it. So if you then want to sell that design, you can do. Yes, it's free labor, basically. Yes. It's a clever way of getting some patterns that I can use over the next year. So I might do another one with hats.
That's actually a really cool idea, because then you could feature one a month or whatever, and it's something
Yeah, because when I show them, I'm going to show them all as they've been given to me. So whatever the picture is, but I'm going to make them. It's going to be blind as answer, so no one's actually going to know who's who until the winner's announced.
That's cool.
But then what I will then do, the good ones, I will then turn into proper patterns that people can knit from, rather than just a photograph. If that makes sense. But the other people can do that as well. So say, for example, Amy, if you do one that's got allegedly written on it, and your emu, whatever he is, ostrich, whatever, if I then turn that into a proper pattern, I will then give that to you.
Right.
And you can use that as well if you wanted to for something in the future. It seems I thought it was a fair kind of.
Which begs the question. What happens if somebody does some kind of inspiration of a trademarked thing?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. Part of
Like
the
say Anne's neurotic thing, I mean, I
yeah,
know that's
by entering, you
Mhm.
are stating that it's an original piece of work.
I guess this is not for sale. It's fine. True.
It depends on who it is. If it's somebody like Isom, because we know Anne has contacted them and they're
Yeah.
okay with that stuff. But if it was Disney or
Yeah,
I
you
don't
know
know,
Disney's gonna come
Marvel,
after you.
yeah, they're gonna sue, aren't they?
Ripaverse is pretty cool about all that.
Yeah.
I guess my advice would be if somebody wants to go that route, that they do an inspiration, not
rather than a copy.
direct copy of the logo. So
yeah. Like when I was going to do a wolf, well, I've done it, but I can't show it anyway. I've done a Wolverine pattern, for a character, but I can't publish it because it's Wolverine. So I'd have to change all the colors and make it look really weird.
Gotcha.
But so I don't know how to get around that really, but
cool. Thank you.
So get your crayons out.
I had no idea what y'all were talking about with the mittens. I was like, I don't know why you keep sharing this mitten pattern. Like, I don't understand that.
Oh, Elle's just put, don't design something based on Andrea Mowry.
And then I'll sell it.
Yeah, I'll sell millions of them.
Take that.
Well, we are creeping up on 2 hours.
I was only going to come for half an hour.
Yep.
Wow.
But I'm going to be the pumpkin person. I got to go. My kid's bedtime's coming up. So.
Yeah, I have to get some food. My men fed themselves, but I haven't eaten yet.
Well, I need to go to bed. Cool. It's 1 a.m. Or is it 2 a.m.? No, 1 a.m.
You don't even know what time it is.
Well, it's at that point in the year when the clocks are going to change, isn't it? So I always get confused at this time. I don't know when the clocks change. And it changes at a different date to us.
They change after Halloween now.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah, I don't know whether ours is the same.
You know why they change after Halloween now, DK?
No,
because
I don't.
The snowflakes decided they needed to make sure kids had enough daylight hour for their trick-or-treating. I kid you not. That's why they changed.
So, you know what we do with our kids?
And in our town, nobody trick-or-treats till dark. So
listen to this.
So they're staying up later.
Oh, also.
Ooh, awesome. Could she make sure she's linked? She lets us know.
Yeah, drop your link. I don't know where you are, so.
Yeah, and she is Inktwool on
Message
Instagram.
Me. Message me on Instagram.
No, message me.
Do a group message with all of us. I don't care.
In the end, I was the worst person to message. So
and whoever has a contract, 2 sisters and some yarn at gmail.com.
So what I was going to tell you though about the snowflakes and the pumpkins, my husband takes these industrial flashlights he gets from the hardware store and he tapes them inside their pumpkins so the thing is literally glowing like it's on fire. Nobody is going to hit our kids because they look like they have fire coming out of their pumpkins.
So they're like when their brights are on a car and you're driving down the road and it's like, and then if they lower their brights and they're still too bright, you're like, oh, I hate that guy. That's your kids.
Have you seen the American Halloween thing, trick-or-treating versus the British one?
No.
Have you not seen it going around? It's like the American one is where you're all going and everyone's dead excited. So they bought sweets in for the kids knocking on the door. And the British one is where everyone turns the lights off, shuts the curtains and hides behind the settee.
That's me. I am the curmudgeon that does not celebrate Halloween. So I turn the lights off, make sure the garage is closed.
Oh, it's such a shame. You don't celebrate anything, do you?
I know, sorry.
Oh.
So...
Well, will you be tempted into a little extra Hanukkah celebration?
I may actually do Hanukkah, even though I don't do Hanukkah, just in the spirit of things this year.
Okay, me and you, we can party it out.
Yes,
the non-Jewish holiday stuff. We're like, woohoo!
Okay,
make some latkes.
If you want to see Inktwool and her thing about wool and I can't even think of what it is. And one of my kids came in the room, so I can't say what she's been saying.
Podcast.
But her channel is Inktwool.
Okay.
Make sure you follow Amy of 2 Sisters and Some Yarn, Neil Black Magazine. Anne and I are politically incorrect.
We're here.
So
you're already here.
If you guys are on our channel, you probably know who we are, but I'm just saying. So cool. I got to run. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Nope, it's not ending.
Stop smiling, quick.